Welcome you back to the Patrick Netherton Show right here on 1130 The Tiger, 103.3 FM, and streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, or X if you'd rather. We're pleased to welcome in now one of our favorite guests. Had her on after the national championship game and came up to Shreveport and got one of the best basketball talents we've seen out of here in a long time. She is the national champion, Kim Mulkey from LSU women's basketball, joining us via the Pearl Shreveport hotline. Coach, number one, we recorded this interview yesterday, but I'm curious, the storm just came through, Hurricane Francine. Kind of give us an update. Everything okay in BR?
Actually, yes. Everything's good. I don't have power, but the generator is alive and kicking and keeping everything going in my house. I watch the storm. You sit in and you watch the wind, and I did not think that my area got hit very hard, but nonetheless, we will, like we always do in Louisiana, particularly in South Louisiana, we're resilient people. It's a way of life, and I appreciate everybody checking in on us, but all my players are accounted for, and we're good to go and get back on campus, ready to go this weekend.
Now, there you go. You're it's basically time to rock and roll, and that's always an interesting time for me, Coach, because as someone who calls basically all the sports at Northwestern State, you're focused on your squad. I'm trying to focus on football, volleyball, also start to kind of figure out what men and women's basketball are up to. What's that like during this early period where the campus comes back alive? You got football going on. Like, that's got to be a lot of fun for you guys to kind of get them back in and ready to work.
I tell you, it really is amazing to see Baton Rouge and the traffic in the summer. And you don't even have to look at a calendar. Just watch the traffic and how it becomes congested when school starts. And you have to remember there's 35,000+ students on this campus when school starts. And then you start football season and the tailgating and just the activity and the excitement. And if there's one thing people will learn about Baton Rouge and LSU is we love sports. We're passionate. Sometimes we're fanatical about it. And we love to eat and drink and be merry, and you see a lot of that going on once football season starts.
This is one of the main reasons that we're having you on here during football season is because, as I mentioned, you came up to Shreveport and got one of the best talents that we've had in this area. I mean, I could argue going all the way back to Elena Beard. Mikaylah Williams has that kind of talent. Before we get into kind of her and her journey, let's talk about the idea of being able to bring her back home. December the 8th, you host Grambling up here in Bossier at Brookshire's Grocery Arena. How important is that for you to be able to allow these kids to get back and play sort of in their hometown?
Well, let me respond to Elena Beard. And Steve McDowell was her coach at Southwood, and they won 4 state championships when Elena was there, and I was at Louisiana Tech as an assistant at the time and tried to recruit her. And heartbroken, she went to Duke and had a great career. And you're exactly right. Mikaylah Williams is an unbelievable talent. Just so fortunate to be able to coach her. Her mom and her dad both played at Northwestern, and they get to come and see her play often. What an absolutely wonderful family. One grandparent is in Little Rock, Arkansas. The other grandparent is in Lake Charles. I just love them all. And we try, it's not always possible, but with scheduling, we do try to go back to the area where players come from. Now, it can't always happen because you have to agree on both ends. Each institution has to. But I wanted to play back in North Louisiana for Mikaylah. I would have loved to have played my alma mater, Louisiana Tech, there, but I couldn't get them to agree to it. So Grambling was just so excited, and we want to sell it out. And I watched LSU and Louisiana Tech men's basketball do it several years ago, and I thought it was just great for both institutions and for our state.
Yeah, it really is. It's a terrific showcase. And And one of the things I really enjoy, Coach, notwithstanding that you've got someone from Bossier and an opportunity to play there, but I like the fact that you are willing to travel a little bit and play games away from home. Now, you're going to have a huge home slate, and you're going to host a lot of in-state schools that are going to be coming to Baton Rouge. But, when Skip Bertman was the athletic director at LSU, he kind of put out the edict that, hey, we need to go out and be ambassadors, and we need to occasionally, every other year go play at a southeastern Louisiana, which you did, or go play at a northwestern state, or go play at a ULM, that kind of thing. What kind of give me an idea of why that you feel like that is important to take the show on the road on occasion and make sure that you're continuing to be the ambassadors, because look, LSU is the school in Louisiana, right? ULM's nice, Tulane's nice, ULL, all of those, that's great, but LSU is the Power 4 now school. So I'm curious why you feel like it is important to be able to get out and get on the road on occasion and take the team out.
When I took the job, I said, I'm not just coming back to help LSU. I want to help our state. And a part of helping our state is making sure all programs in women's basketball, or any sport for that matter, is good. And I just, scheduling is hard. Scheduling can make or break you if you just schedule people to be scheduling. You got to have a little plan. And I just thought, let's bring in some of our in-state schools to play on our home court. A lot of people want to, call those money games where you give them money. I have no problem doing that if it helps their budget.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to go on the road to play schools within our state if it helps them draw the largest crowd and it's where they can get money at the gate. I will tell you, the only school that I will not go on the road and play is my alma mater,
Mm-hmm.
Louisiana Tech.
Sure.
And the reason I won't, it is so emotional for me as a coach to go and try to win on the court where your blood, sweat, and tears for 19 years was poured into an institution and a program, and I can't let that go.
Right.
And so I won't ever go to Louisiana Tech and play. But I would love to have played them in Bossier in this game. I would love for them to come to Baton Rouge, but it's just something about my heart at that place, and I can't do it.
No, I mean, that's understandable. There's a lot of emotion involved with that. Talking to Kim Mulkey, head coach at LSU, as she joins us on the Pearl Shreveport hotline. Let's talk about Mikaylah Williams and kind of how she's progressed. I'll say this. I got to see her once in high school, and I remain impressed. It seems like in today's metrics of basketball, it's layups or threes, and it doesn't feel like anyone has any feel for the mid-range game. And yet you watch the WNBA, and their MVP to come, A'ja Wilson, is a mid-range beast, can just knock down every 15-footer imaginable. And I feel like Mikaylah Williams has that. I've never seen a player that's more comfortable at that mid-range. I'm curious about allowing her to play that way when I know you love inside play, you love post play. What is it about that mid-range game that is so comfortable for her?
Well, she's very, she's well-rounded. Mikaylah off the court is one of the kindest, happiest, just a genuine person. When she gets on that floor now, she throws all that to the side and she's trying to whip you if you're not on her team. And she has a game where she's a strongly built young lady that can take you off the dribble. And honestly, as a perimeter player, I'll post her if I need to, just because she's got a smaller person guarding her. Her mid-range is just something that she's developed through her progression in basketball. I know that she works on her three, and you better not leave her open out there either, because she can nail that as well. She just wants to be the best at everything she does on the floor. We're going to work extremely hard to develop her on the defensive end even more, because as a freshman, she'll tell you this, she got exposed somewhat by seniors last year, but it was good for her. It reminded her, hey, I have to keep working because I want to be that dominant defensive player as well. I would give her trainers back home in Bossier and Shreveport that developed her game. I certainly give it to the genes. Her mom and daddy, brought her into this world, and she's just been blessed with a lot of talent.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Coach, I'm curious, in today's portal realm, transfer portal, it feels like you have adapted as fast or faster than just about anyone else, and obviously Angel Reese is a perfect example of that. Tell me about adapting to what college basketball and what college athletics is today.
I had a conversation just recently with some coaches who are retired that are in my generation of coaches, my age, and they're like, Kim, you were able to adjust and adapt when the rest of us were not. And I took that as a compliment, and not that I've changed my ways and thoughts of thinking as a coach. I think you're always going to be a disciplinarian. I think I'm going to always be a hard-nosed, teach them defense, rebounding. What they were referring to is all the things that take place away from the court, the transfer portal, the NIL. I would venture to say probably every coach in America was scared of it, particularly the NIL when it was first started. And I just kind of observed and watched and realized this is not going away. It's here to stay. So you need to embrace it if you're going to continue to coach. And I did, but it didn't affect the way that I coach on the floor. Now, the transfer portal, in my opinion, is a lot more it's just tougher to adjust to the portal because you never know from season to season what team you're going to have show up on that floor the next year. We're not talking about kids transferring anymore because they're not playing. We're talking about kids that just get bored with life, or a friend moves to another school, or all Americans are transferring. It has no rhyme or reason as to why kids transfer. It's just that they're allowed to do it, and they do it. And that makes it extremely difficult because a lot of your preparation for a season begins in the summer with you thinking practice plans. What do I have? What type of offense do I need to do with these kids? You can't do that anymore because kids are transferring up to the last minute.
Well, and I'll say this, I think one of the advantages that you have built in, and we saw this with Angel Reese and obviously see it with Livy Dunn over on the gymnastics side, it feels like LSU embraced the NIL landscape faster and better than almost any school in America. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I mean, I remember when I was first hired at LSU, Livy Dunn was all over Times Square. It was LSU, NIL, LSU, all that stuff.
Right.
And it was smart. I can't tell you who gets credit for that, but I can tell you they embraced it. And, people have a misconception, I think, of the NIL. NIL, or maybe I should say this, they don't have a misconception. I think we need to clarify that people look at my program and think, okay, Angel Reese, she got this kind of money. Dunn's getting this kind of money. Flaget's getting this kind of money. Those kids are not getting that kind of money from LSU.
Right.
Those kids are getting that kind of money from national endorsements and businesses and people who want them under contract to promote their product. They get an amount from LSU, as all student athletes do, and It comes from a collective. But those amounts are not coming from LSU. And I think sometimes in recruiting, I have to clarify that with parents and with recruits.
Yeah, I mean, the $1 million athletes are $1 million athletes because a brand wants to come and be a part of it. Livy Dunn's got Vuori or whatever, and Angel Reese had all kind of endorsements as well. Now Reese's Pieces, which is amazing. It's fantastic. Tell me about this year's team, Coach. Obviously, we know Reese lost her and Haley Van Lith, but kind of give us an idea of what this year's team is going to look like.
Well, we start practice officially on the 23rd, and if you ask me in a month after I've had them on the floor, I can give you a better assessment. What I do know is we've got a lot of guards. We'll have a lot of depth at the guard spot, obviously with Mikaylah Williams coming back, Flage coming back, Poa coming back. And then you go to the post with Morrow coming back, and then Samaya Smith coming back from ACL tear, and then Aaliyah, my big girl, coming back. She had some surgery in the summer on cleaning up an ankle. We know what we have coming back. What we don't know is when you change their roles now, how they will respond. We have new players, transfers. We only had one high school signing, and Jada Richard out of Lafayette Christian. So we have the talent. It's just we've got to change our mindset now, particularly those returning players, on what their roles will be.
Last thing for you, Coach, and obviously appreciate your time, give me kind of where do you fall on the national talking points? It feels like the whole Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese thing has gotten so toxic and out of control, especially on social media. It doesn't feel like it's that way within the framework of the players or the WNBA. Like, they know how to handle it. They deal with this. But, kind of what is your sort of overall wide view take on everything that has gone on here over the last year or so when it comes to Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and just the talking and how women's basketball is being talked about right now?
Well, first of all, having played in that championship game, I thought those two young ladies and others, they didn't do it alone, brought wonderful, wonderful attention to women's basketball.
Absolutely.
And I do not believe in any way, shape, or form that they do not like each other. I think they respect each other because they've seen what, each other up and close and playing against each other. I think all of that toxic stuff is just what it is. It's social media is toxic, period. I mean, it's just toxic, and it's our world. We allow people the freedom to sit behind a computer or a phone and just throw out stuff that either sticks or it doesn't stick, and half the time it's not true. Those two young ladies don't have issues with each other. Those two young ladies are competitors. I don't know of anything personal that either one of them has done to the other that would make them not respect each other. They were good for the WNBA. They came in at the same time in the WNBA. Look at the crowds, and I get the WNBA has been around, 25 years, and it had some great crowds, but what you didn't have then is it wasn't talked about year-round. And I just find that women's basketball is being talked about year-round, and you've got a fan base now that has never been this big. You're bringing people into the fan base that have not really ever cared about women's basketball. I don't care why they're following it. Just keep following it. It's
That's
good.
right. Well, and like I said from the beginning, Coach, maybe somebody comes to a game because of Caitlin Clark, but they leave a Kelsey Plum fan, right? Or maybe they come to the game because of Angel Reese, but they turn around and they really love what Sabrina Ionescu is doing, right? Like, that's what I love about this, is they can be great ambassadors for the sport and bring people in and maybe help build fandoms, not necessarily for themselves, but for other their own fan bases, right? You come out because the Fever are in town, or you come out because the Sky are in town, and maybe you become a fan of your hometown team because of that. And I love that idea, and I hope that it continues. I really do.
I agree with you. And if you talk about Clark and you talk about Angel, watch how they conduct themselves with the older players. They are constantly very just respectful of the older players. They know that they are rookies, and they know that they have things to learn about the game. What they've done is what I say, they've done their part, and the only part they could do right now, and that is bring fans to the game, and they've done that. They don't try to go in there and think that they're one of the, best players in the league or anything like that. They just go in as rookies and go, how can we contribute to make this league better? And I really love that about both of them.
Any chance that Prime Mulkey with the pigtails flying, any chance that Caitlin Clark would have kept her in front of her? I mean, there's no chance, right? You're blowing by Caitlin Clark those pigtails are flying right by her, and you're laying it up easy, right? Like, that can't be she can't guard you.
This game has evolved, and it's so good now. The athletes are just tremendous. Are you kidding me? I love picking on my own players when I'm coaching them and tell them things. You should have done this. I'd have gotten in front of you and taken a charge, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, the game of basketball is simple. Find you a shooter, find you a ball handler, find you a rebounder. And if you can have those on your team, you stand a chance of winning a lot of games.
Yeah, and sometimes this day and age, they're the same person, which doesn't hurt either. That's for sure. Coach, obviously, we wish you the best of luck. Training camp opening up. Grambling and LSU in Bossier City at the Brookshire's Grocery Arena. That will be December the 8th. Tickets are on sale now, so make sure you get them. Where you can find tickets, go to lsusports.net and check it out. Get those tickets. Make sure we sell the place out. We want reasons for LSU to come back to Shreveport and Bossier in the future. And so, Coach, best of luck as camp opens up, and we look forward to catching back up with you soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's go, Tigers.